Hi, gang. It's Patrick.
And Kale.
Coming up on today's episode, we interview Run Disney host Riley Clermont. As always, we discuss the latest Disney news, and we close out the show with some quick D. All that and more on today's episode of Gays Do the D.
To all who come to this happy place, welcome.
Kale, Wide World of Sports English.
Oh, love it. It's a context clue.
Yeah. It really is. Well, I think the title of the episode is probably the context clue,
Yes.
but
No, absolutely it is.
But you are the sporty one of the bunch. That's true. Everyone knows that.
Do you think this? Do you
No,
feel this way?
I don't. In no way. In no way.
Okay. So if each of us is a Spice Girl, what am I?
Ginger. 100% ginger.
We'll take it. We'll absolutely take it. I'm done. Done. Patrick. All right, Blanche Hudson. Miss Big Fat Movie Star. Miss Rotten Stinking Actress. Press a button, ring a bell, and you think the whole bleep world comes running, don't you? Lunch, Miss Hudson? Why, certainly, Miss Hudson. I'm sure we can find something appropriate for you, Miss Hudson. Kazuki.
Whomst am I in that movie? Whatever happened to Baby Jane?
Yeah,
yes?
if it's you and I'm definitely Baby Jane. You're absolutely Blanche Hudson. Yeah.
Noted. I need to watch that again.
I feel
It's been
like
a
me
while.
going through life, everybody is Blanche Hudson. And I'm Baby Jane.
Mm-hmm. That tracks fully.
I love whatever happened to Baby Jane.
What made you think of that movie of all the movies in the world to choose from? I mean, it's pretty gay, I guess.
Because from my understanding, I think I'm going to be on the next couple episodes. And so I wanted them to be a little spookier as we got deeper into spooky season.
Ooh,
and so,
okay. I like it.
I had one picked out that you and I used to quote to each other prior to us even being podcast co-hosts, but I decided to save. Okay. Yeah, it's a very good one.
Amazing. Well, speaking of spooky season, the autumn is upon us in full force. Scale. How are you feeling this spooky season?
You know,
it's season of the witch.
Yeah, it's really funny because it might be because I had my sort of depressive episode earlier in the year, but this is the first sort of like beginning of October where I'm not feeling the seasonal depression as much.
Yeah.
But I mean, I actually feel like I'm doing really good. I just got off of a cruise.
Yes, you did. Yes, you did.
A 7-day Disney cruise on the Fantasy.
Listeners, if you are part of our Patreon family, you will hear a little bit more about our Kale's time on the cruise in the next Raw and Uncut episode. But give a little sneak peek, Kale. How was it? How was your trip? The world wants to know.
It was absolutely amazing. So first of all, I had never done a cruise that was that long. We had done a 3-day and a 4-day before. And so I was a little nervous about 7 full nights on the ship.
That's a lot.
I would actually say it was perfect, though. Like, I would say 7 was perfect. 8 might have been too much, if that makes sense.
It does, totally.
But it was absolutely amazing.
Good.
We ported in Tortola, St. Thomas, Castaway Key, of course.
Mm-hmm.
So relaxing, and honestly, after the year with work and travel and such, it was very well deserved, if I do say so myself.
Fair.
So, yeah, it was perfect. And then I didn't really know this, but I guess it was sort of a birthday trip. My birthday was on the 28th, and so the Steamboat Willies had my room decorated with all this. Yeah, it was actually really, really great.
Well, that's very sweet. We gave you a little birthday shout out on our last episode, but now that you're here, happiest of belated birthdays. Did you have a good birthday?
I did. I had a great birthday. I got this amazing candle.
From whom?
That people have seen on Instagram, I'm sure. So Smell by Kale officially is a fragrance. So we're going to call Patrick Kazuki out real quick because he tried to act like he didn't like it all along. But here I am with this candle that I know he designed.
Well, to be clear, our friends over at 1955 Candle Company
and
designed
they were,
the candle.
They're amazing. Yes,
They are.
But I know
amazing.
they did it at someone's request.
I don't know who that would be.
That was.
Listen, two things can be true at the same time. I can dislike Smell by Kale and still want you to have your birthday dreams come true.
Well, I guess that's true.
Yeah. So
Smell by Kale? What is your fragrance?
To you, not to me. So you have the candle. I don't have the candle.
It smells amazing.
Good. I'm glad.
They nailed it.
Listen, they always do.
It's uncanny.
They always do. They're perfect over at www.1955candlecompany.com.
Yes. So what would your fragrance be?
My fragrance? Like if Patrick had a fragrance?
Yeah. So Smell by Kale.
It would be called Shortcake.
Done. $1 million sell right there.
Yep.
Yeah.
Just a buttery shortcake smell.
1 billion units sold. A billion. Janet, we're sold out. I hear they're going like hotcakes. Yeah.
Nope, they're going like shortcakes, Kale.
Shortcakes. Oh my gosh. You and I should be QVC co-hosts.
Oh, we should.
Queer VC. I love it. Queer vacation.
Thank you so much.
So how have you been? I know that you also just got back from a little mini vacay.
Yeah, thank you so much for asking. I'm good. You know me. The autumn is my power season. This is where I really come into my true identity as a human being, as a person. It is funny. The weather is shifting a little bit. I'll get to the trip in a second. The weather is shifting a little bit, so it is getting definitely colder, and my body is starting to go, okay, you can do this. You have to shift through the seasons, and then we just get through that 1 week where you adjust to the cold, and then things are good. But mentally, I'm in a wonderful space because I don't know. There's just something about the fall that really relaxes me. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I do know what you mean. I love the time of year where it's like you can wear a sweater and a tiny short. That's my favorite.
You clearly don't live in Minnesota. That is not a thing.
It gives me sort of like Michelle Pfeiffer walking in front of a stainless steel refrigerator vibes. I don't know. Like,
yep. I totally don't understand what you mean. So my trip was great. I went camping in the Boundary Waters with my cousins. And when I say cousins, I mean they're actually Dan's cousins, but Dan doesn't go camping, and so I go camping with them, and we're all sort of not the in-laws, but we're the outlaws. We're all people who are married to people within that family, and so we just call ourselves, it's an outlaw camping trip. Had a great time. I really love that crew, just some of the best people you'll ever want to hang out with, and it was like, it's true camping, like you are in the woods, on the ground.
Living temporarily outside.
There's no electricity. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Living temporarily outside. Good callback. And it was so great. I feel like sometimes when I go on those camping trips, the pendulum swings so hard into relaxation mode that when I get back, I'm like, oh, what have I done to myself? I don't ever want to look at a computer again.
Completely. I totally get it. Yeah. I mean, it's similar. So a cruise obviously is the opposite of camping.
Sure.
But as far as like the seclusion and like it's like it's so easy. Like if I just go to Disney or if I just go somewhere local, it's very, very easy for me to still pick up my phone and check email, just even subconsciously. Do you know what I mean?
I do.
On a cruise ship, you cannot do that. Also, living outside temporarily, you can't always do that. So
fair.
They're essentially twins.
It's the same. It's really the same. Sisters. It's really the same. So things are good. We're both in a good place. That almost never happens at the same time.
It never happens. Because typically, if I'm in a bad place, which is, I'm having a bad month every month.
Yeah, that's.
But I always try and drag you down with me.
So but it actually does the opposite. I'm usually the most happy when you're in a bad place.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yes, absolutely, I do.
Well, let's move on to your favorite thing in the whole world, Kale, and that's I'm celebrating.
This is my favorite thing in the whole world. Do you want me to kick us off?
You absolutely must, because it was just your birthday, and this is my birthday gift to you.
Oh, perfect. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
At Justin_Phillip, being in Disney World for Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween party and a family vacation.
Aw, I love that. I
do
love
too.
that party. It's so much fun.
Same. That's my... I absolutely love Mickey's Not So Scary. I will say I haven't gone in like 2 years, though. I need to make it a point next year to go.
It's been a while. Maybe we need to take a trip out there. I would love to do that. I'm into it.
You finally invited me to something just now.
when I said
everybody witnessed it.
I don't know
everybody
if I
saw.
meant you, but okay, fair. Fun fact: Justin_Phillip wrote his "I'm celebrating" in like moments after we stopped recording the last episode because he missed the "I'm celebrating" that time, and so he wanted to be sure to get it in right under the wire, and instead he got it in way before the wire. So well done, Justin.
Well done. You were
Phillip.
first, not last.
You were first.
Yeah.
You were first by a mile. Okay, moving on. We have at wishful_thinking celebrating a safe return from a madcap adventure through all 4 Asian Disney parks. So much to tell. We'll have to have you back on to talk about that trip. It sounds like it was magical.
It does sound like it was magical. Okay. At realtor_on_the_run, Orlando Home Squad winning #1 team in Orlando.
Ooh, well done to you.
Is it a little sports thing? Is it a little?
No, their realty team, I believe, is the #1.
A realty team, so they sell the most homes.
Mm-hmm. I think maybe you are talking about a different team, but I imagine you're talking about your realty team. So well done. Well done to you.
I kind of like realty now that I know it's a little bit sporty.
It's a game, really. It's
a game.
Moving on, we have at Jackawak celebrating spoopy season.
I love that it's spoopy season.
Spoopy season. I need to know, where did that term come from? Do you know? I feel like it's been around for a while, and I never knew where it came from.
I feel like it was an Alyssa Edwards thing. I feel like she did. Do you remember after Drag Race when she did Alyssa's Secret? I feel like there was an episode where she was getting like Halloween makeup done by like Sharon Needles or something.
Sure.
And I feel like she was saying like, get ready for the spooky, ooky, spoopy, like that kind of thing. You know how she always, yeah.
I sure do.
I think that's where it came from, but I have no idea.
Fair. All right. Well, if
you have better history than me, please let us know.
Let us know. I'm sure you do out there.
At ADV, wow.
I just
at ADV Parker, reconnecting with friends I met over the summer for a cute fall gaze trip to Silver Dollar City.
Work. Isn't that work? Where's Silver Dollar City? Is that in the Ozarks? I don't know.
I have no idea.
Okay, great. I'm going to say it's in the Ozarks.
You're looking me dead in the eye asking me about this. Like, I wouldn't know. That's the only reason you're asking, because you actually know, don't you? You're just trying to humiliate me like my mother.
I haven't. We're going to dig into that later in Raw and Uncut. I actually don't know where it is. I'm going to guess the Ozarks, but let us know.
Either. Let us know where it is.
Yeah, I hope your trip was great. Let's see. We have at Kim Chi celebrating the Disney Dreamlight Valley update. I'm so behind on Dreamlight
Same, but
Valley.
I have to tell you, I was really into it for a while, and it was a blast.
Mm-hmm. I love that game.
I thoroughly enjoyed this.
You and I played it a lot.
We did.
Yeah.
We'll hold each other accountable. We'll have to play. Let's play for 1 hour by the end of the week. Oh, that's tomorrow. No, next week.
No, can't commit, but we'll try.
End of December 30th.
Before end of year, we will play
perfect.
one round. Okay, great.
Perfect. At Damien Daz, celebrating sweater weather, even if it's the LA kind.
Oh, that's the kind you were talking about with sweaters and shorts.
Yeah. Heather weather.
Yes. Heather's Weathers.
Heather Weather. Yeah.
That's a really good drag name, Heather Weather.
Heather Weather. That's amazing.
Obsessed. And yes, you better celebrate those sweaters. I do love sweater weather. I love a sweater. You know me.
Oh, I do too. I love a sweatshirt.
I love a sweatshirt.
Same.
I love a jumper for those across the pond. I love a sweater.
Ooh, yes.
I love them all.
I love a big frumpy knit sweater, like
just swallows you whole.
Yes,
just swim and possibly swimming in it.
I get it, and I have sort of like a jewel tone underpant.
Oh my stars!
That just slightly peeks out underneath. You know what I mean?
I don't anymore. I don't know what you mean. You lost me on that one.
I'm baking or something. Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Okay, I'm making a pie, just like I usually do. I see it for you. Moving on, we have Rutter celebrating I passed all 6 architect registration exams and will soon be licensed in New York. Oh my goodness.
There are 6?
That's 5 too many than I could even start reading.
I agree. I mean, I'm going to congratulations. I mean, that's amazing.
Times 6. Yeah, absolutely.
Yes.
And in New York, that must be real. There must be so many zoning law. I don't even want to get into it. I can't even imagine. Barf.
Ooh.
Yeah. Well done to you.
You win, by the way.
You're smart.
Yeah. Absolutely. At Chad_McMullen7 getting accepted into Gonzaga University's nurse practitioner program.
Ooh, congratulations.
Amazing.
We have a strange amount of listeners who are in the medical field somehow, as nurses, midwives, doctors, dentists. It's pretty wild. So I don't know what it is that the Venn diagram
we have
of
them
medicine.
everywhere. We got doctors, nurses, nurse practitioners,
we have
teachers, and we do everything. Principals, yes. Architects.
Mm-hmm. Architects now even. I love it.
Realtors.
Realtors. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Spoopy people. All
Heathers. Yeah.
Heathers. Speaking of Heathers, at Hebdon is celebrating seeing Troye Sivan in Nashville and buying my ticket to see JT in his play this October. You better celebrate the arts. Well done.
Yes. Support these co-hosts.
It's true. It's true. Do we need to get Troye Sivan on the podcast at some point? He's real gay now, right? Remember when he was sort of like, I don't know, maybe I am.
Oh,
maybe I'm
yeah,
not.
he went off.
And I'm like, girl.
Yeah, he did. He was like when there was a saying like when we were young, like if someone was Metro but you knew they were not, you would say on the Metro train to Gaytown.
Yes.
That was
that term, metrosexual.
Metrosexual, which is non-existent anymore. I bet if you used it to a Gen Z, they would have no clue.
Not since Details magazine was out did metrosexual
absolutely
become a thing.
No, completely. Well, and if you think about it, every guy they ever like publicly described as metrosexual, they're all gay now. Like, like, do you remember like Ricky Martin? That was the defense for a while. Like, he's not gay. He's just metrosexual, and now he's gay.
100%. 100%.
At Aba Nervous Rex, a successful solo trip to Walt Disney World and my first experience of Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween Party. Loved every minute.
Bookending it with Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween.
I know. That's perfect.
Good for you for going on a solo trip. I love a solo trip. More people need to do it.
I've never done one. I need to do one. I've never done one.
It's so good. Just a quick trip, no matter, even if it's like a couple of days going out there and just being by yourself at Disney.
I've definitely done a solo trip to a quick trip.
Just to get a Slurpee.
Yeah. To get the, remember the Rooster Booster?
I do not know what that is at all.
So the Slurpee at a quick trip, the Rooster was like their like mascot or whatever. So you could get like any flavor of slushy, but then the Rooster Booster was like energy drink, but it was it was essentially cocaine. Like I can remember, like you would stop on the way to school and like get. Maybe that's a very Atlanta thing. I don't know.
Maybe this is brand new information to me.
Rooster Booster. I'm pretty sure that's what it was called. If anybody has any idea what it was called, let us know. But
so it's like putting like an energy drink inside of a Slurpee, basically.
Oh yeah, and and it tasted like gasoline. Like it didn't even have a good flavor. Like it, like you know how like Red Bull doesn't have like a nice taste. It's simply to get you like hyped up. That's what this slushy was. It made no sense.
Weird.
But we're celebrating with you, everybody.
We are. Thank you for what a fun. That was a nice slate of celebrations.
It was absolutely perfect.
Yeah, well done, everybody. Thank you for celebrating along with us. We love to celebrate you, Kale. Are you ready to celebrate history with some Disney history? Is
it a quiz?
It can be. Do you want it to be a quiz?
Make it a quiz. Make it a quiz.
Okay. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
61 years ago, Kale. On October 7, 1963, the piano track for this song, I'm trying to make it into a quiz and wording it differently. Mm-hmm. The piano track for this song was recorded for the very first iteration of this song, one of the most famous songs in the world. The track was recorded using a strict tempo with the use of a metronome. It was then sent to Japan, Italy, and Mexico to be translated and sung using the exact same track for recording in those languages. Do you know the song?
It's a Small World.
That's correct. It's a Small World, which of course debuted at the World's Fair before going to Disney, or Disneyland specifically. October 7, 1963. Can I tell you something? Is it because I'm getting older that 1963 does not seem that far away, yet It's a Small World seems like it was written 400 years ago?
No, absolutely. I get.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I do.
It's
I
crazy
absolutely get what you're saying.
I wonder how many languages it's sung in now in the ride it is now.
Good question.
I haven't ever really stopped and counted. Okay.
No, I haven't either.
Tweedles, you have an assignment. Let us know.
Yeah. I have to say though, I know that Small World really gets a rough rap, right? For most Disney goers. Sure. I actually have never had a problem with it. It's
I
not
like
one
it.
that it's not one that I need to ride every time I go, but every
No.
time I ride it, I'm glad I've ridden it.
Well,
Like,
you know
I never...
me. I'm a nostalgia nerd, and I love.
Well, and you probably feel right at home. Yeah,
I do. I really do. Because I'm the same size.
You're like,
as
for
everyone
you, it's
in
a
the
family
ride.
reunion, right? It's
They should put a little miniature me in there. Well, it would be this a regular size me,
right.
in there.
It was. Oh gosh,
They would never find me if I got out of the boat and just stood there.
No,
and, like,
if you
waved
like,
my hands
no,
in the air.
If
they'd
you
be like,
wanted to
"Where's
ever
Patrick?"
truly give me a heart attack, we could be on that ride, and you would take off riding, like playing hide and seek, and I would. That's literally what would do me in.
Yeah,
that's
it'd
what
be
would happen.
a Where's Waldo
Yep.
situation. You would never find me.
I would ever. Gosh.
Amazing. All right.
I'd be like, come here, I have a surprise pack. I have one of those.
If there was ever a fan art that someone was going to do, please do this. Please put
Yes.
me in It's a Small World.
I will commission it. You make me an offer. I promise you. I will commission Patrick in Small World.
100%.
Promise.
Oh my gosh. Okay, moving on.
Yes.
20 years ago, Kale, on October 8th, 2004, the third installment of this movie series premiered on the Disney Channel. It stars Debbie Reynolds, Kimberly J. Brown, and Joey Zimmerman. Do you know this movie?
I do. It's Halloween Town, and I think the third one was Halloween Town High.
Oh my gosh, how do you know that?
I have no idea.
That is absolutely correct, though.
Not me knowing that one, but getting Cinderella wrong for like 20 minutes the other week. But yeah, I've never seen Halloween Town High, but I remember there was a time period where for some reason on Disney Channel with the Disney Channel original movies, the third one was always like something high. Like it was always them going to school. Like it was always like that was always like the trilogy secret or something. But I have to say, I don't remember the second one to bunch, but the original Halloween Town with Debbie Reynolds, it always is like a nice, chill, nostalgic film to watch during spooky season.
I have to confess, I have not seen any of the Halloween Town movies, and I need to.
I'm not going to encourage you to, because, like, I mean, if you want to and you're bored, like, by all means, watch it. But it's not, I mean, it's not groundbreaking. Do you remember during which we need to plan another watch party? We had so much fun doing that.
We should do one.
We did Xenon Girl of the 21st Century.
Yes.
I like it and, like, would recommend, like, oh, if you're bored, but I would never, like, truly pressure someone to watch it.
No,
Right?
it's not like a high recommend, but it's like it's like knock it out of the knock it off your list if you need
Absolutely.
to, as a Disney thing that you should see. Fun fact: Halloween Town High was not the last of the Halloween Town movies. So, by the way, there were 4, I believe, in total.
What was the fourth one?
Return to Halloween Town?
What? That don't make no sense.
Well,
They already went back.
Well,
I think twice.
They went back 3 times apparently because
That
there
don't
are
make
4
no
movies.
sense. It should have been Halloween Town Back in the Habit, or Halloween Halloween Town Lost in New York, or something. You know,
Halloween Town: The Lost World.
Halloween Town: The Chamber of Secrets.
So dumb. So
Yes.
dumb. All right. Well, that concludes this week in Disney history, Kale, which means one thing: we're going to the news. Are you ready?
News, talking about news.
Are you going to sing it? Does that mean that we're going to do that and then we're going to come back and you're going to sing it again?
I don't know. You'll have to find out.
We all know what's happening. Disneyland Paris is getting a new Marvel show at their Avengers campus. Doctor Strange Mystery of the Mystics will premiere on November 23rd and run through at least spring of 2025. This new show will take place on the Worldwide Engineering Brigade building and will utilize projections, music, and special effects. Interestingly, Doctor Strange will be teaming up with Scarlet Witch for this all-new story in the parks. Not much more detail has been given yet, but fans are already speculating on if this is a hint of what might be to come for Wanda Maximoff. Is she still alive in the MCU? Will she make an appearance in Agatha All Along? Or is this storyline simply just set in the past? Who can say? Kale, I would ask you these questions, but I know you're not a huge Marvel fan, so you maybe don't know what I'm talking about right now.
I know. So here goes the deal. You're going to be very, very proud of me.
Ooh.
I know, like every other gay person on earth, I've been watching Agatha All Along.
Fair.
And it's incredible and amazing. I absolutely love it.
Good.
I'm actually really enjoying it, and
Good.
like I remember a lot of the stuff.
Oh, that's nice.
Isn't that hilarious?
Good for
like,
you.
I remember, like legit. Like I'm remembering like a lot of the like lore and stuff.
Sure.
So I might have my own speculations that since you wanted to insult me, I won't share.
Okay, great. Share them, please, won't you? Can you please?
Okay. What are your thoughts on it though?
I don't know. I don't know anything. I'm actually torn on this one. I mean, I have hopes that Scarlet Witch is still alive somewhere, and I think that there might be some clues in this new show, Agatha All Along, that maybe she is still alive. Who can say? But, I mean, we've been red-herred many times before by Marvel, and they're very good at it. And so, nothing will surprise me. Nothing will surprise me in this, in that everything is going to surprise us, I think, in Agatha All Along. And circling back to this new show with Doctor Strange and Wanda, who can say?
What if we find out that it was literally her all along? Like we go, like it's like Agatha was there. I mean, I'm talking Captain America. Like, do you get what I'm saying? Like first Iron Man, like the whole thing.
Interesting that she right? started all of the Marvel.
I mean,
universe.
like literally, it's called Agatha All Along. It's not
Fair.
called like Agatha right now. You know what I mean? Like it's not so.
Yeah, fair.
Anything makes sense to me.
Anything's possible. Here's my theory on why you're liking Agatha All Along is that it's very distinctly not Marvel, kind of. You know what I mean?
So distinctly not Marvel. It's very. I mean, it's more supernatural than it is superhero-y. Do you know what I mean? And so it's
I mean, because it's a very specific character who isn't necessarily an action hero in the Marvel universe. It's just
at all.
It's cool though.
And other than that, no spoilers. But other than that one very cool scene between her and Aubrey Plaza. There's really not been a lot of like, but it's amazing. I'm thoroughly enjoying it.
I'm very excited to talk more about it later as it progresses. Yeah.
Yes. So now it's time for my news story. So I'll get us started with news. Talking about news.
I was literally thinking that in my head when I started talking, and I was like, "Oh, we didn't hear it twice."
You did it on purpose. You did it on purpose.
I may have.
For a limited time, Disneyland is offering $50 children's tickets once again. The specially priced tickets will go on sale on October 22nd, 2024, for visits from January 7th through March 20th, 2025. They are for ages 3 to 9. Under 3 can visit for free. Ooh. The special tickets will be as low as $50 per child per 1 day, 1 park ticket. But there will be options to choose a 2-day or 3-day ticket with Park Hopper and Lightning Lane upgrades. Multi-day tickets expire 13 days after the first day of use or on March 20th, whichever comes first. Guests may purchase up to 10 tickets per day. This offer may not be combined with any other ticket discounts or promotions. This is pretty cool, yeah?
I think so. I mean, Disney, Lord knows, Disney needs good lower price marketing.
Money. Oh, yeah. Sorry. Yeah.
Money.
Yeah. Right. The discounted kids ticket was previously offered around the same time last year. For adults, select days in the same time period are priced as low as $104. Check the theme park reservation calendar for exact pricing.
Please do so. Yeah, no, I like when Disney offers stuff like this.
Obviously,
do too. Families, it's tough for families to get there, and it's also, let me just be very clear, it's also Disney trying to go, this is a lower attended time of year, so let's get people in the parks and get them buying that merch and those pretzels, but it makes sense.
No, absolutely. And it's you're not wrong. And one thing that we do, I'm always proud of us when we talk about it too. One thing that we always do talk about is accessibility, and I do wish that the parks and the cruises and all of this stuff was more accessible to people. And so it's insane to me that a child's ticket would ever be more than $50 anyway. Let's get real.
I actually think that I bet you anything that their margins would go. I mean, I'm not a financial expert, and I'm sure they've run the numbers on this and tried everything, but it seems to me that they would just get more people coming to the parks if they offered like 5 and under were free.
Absolutely.
They just upped it just a scotch.
I agree completely.
You know what I mean?
Totally.
I don't know, because once you're in the park, that's when they make their money. They're not really making much on ticket sales. They're making a lot of money on what you buy in the parks, but
no, for sure. And then like it's sort of like why I've never understood a senior discount, because if you think that a senior discount for like a movie ticket, they're gonna go in there and buy popcorn. No, they eat at 4 o'clock. You know what I mean? They're not even about to buy popcorn. Get real.
I'm
you're wasting money.
Almost a senior, and I will eat all the popcorn. So but maybe I'm just a party of one.
I love popcorn so much.
Movie popcorn specifically. It's
I
just the
love
best.
popcorn.
Yeah. I'm going to eat it right after we are done recording, in fact.
I really don't like sharing it either. Like, I really hate sharing a popcorn.
I get like a little small bowl and give it to, like, you can have some of this in this small bowl, but this large bowl is for me.
I will ask for courtesy cups and pass those out to other people. I'm not kidding.
Oh, what were we talking about? News.
News, talking about news.
All right, Kale. So obviously, full disclosure to our Tweedles out there. We recorded this interview weeks and weeks ago.
We did.
For a myriad of reasons. Like vacations were happening, schedules needed to be aligned, all of that. And also, though, we wanted to make sure this sort of dropped just before the start of the new Run Disney season.
Absolutely.
In Orlando, because we have none other than the amazing Riley Clermont joining us on the pod today. Much fun. What a great guy. I mean,
yes.
Do you know, we had such a good time talking with him. We talked for longer than we anticipated, and we could have gone on for longer than that.
Absolutely.
And so his bio is goes on and on and on. He's an actor. He's a musician. He's a sports host. He's a voiceover artist. He's in his own time a painter. He's a husband and father, and of course a fan favorite Run Disney announcer. Since about, I think, 2008. He and I were trying to figure it out, and it's been a while that he's been doing it for.
Absolutely.
Yeah, but beyond Run Disney, he's been a performer at many Universal Studios in Orlando shows, and he was a host at the ESPN Club and the ESPN Wild World of Sports, along with John Pelkey, of course, also a Run Disney host and former guest here on Gaze to the D.
That's right.
Also an amazing guest.
I was about to say, Run Disney knows how to pick them.
So
far, we are 2 for 2.
I mean,
yes.
those performers.
Yes.
Those performers.
Absolutely.
I know that you're going to love this interview, as Kale and I did, because this man, Riley Clermont, is just a man for the people. Like Riley for president, I feel like he... What a great guy. We talked about a little bit in the interview, right? Of just like, it's so refreshing to see this traditionally sort of masculine male figure in the sports community be such an open and honest and sensitive person with us. It was so great. It was so lovely.
He said the same about me too.
He did. Everyone does.
He
Everyone
did.
Really
he said
does.
the same. This macho to seeing me short. Yeah,
it's true.
But
it's true.
We are excited about this, guys.
Yes. Without further ado, let's just get right into it. Enough of us. Please enjoy the wonderful Riley Clermont. It is my pleasure to introduce to the podcast man among the Run Disney people, the one, the only, Riley Clermont. Welcome to Gaze Do the D.
Welcome.
It's so good to be here. So great to join you guys. Patrick, Kale, good to see you guys.
Yes, good to
And what do
see
you call your listeners? What do you call the listeners?
Our Tweedles.
Tweedles.
Love it. Hello to all the Tweedles.
Yeah, they're the Tweedledees, and we are clearly the Tweedledums. So that's how that works.
Totally.
Well, welcome to the podcast. First of all, how are you? What's going on? What's a weekend look like for Riley Clermont at home?
It's a good weekend. Right now, Michelle is out running errands. I've got Emery, my 8-year-old, is right across the wall doing some stuff. So if you hear some noise bleed from that, my apologies. It is in the low 70s here. There is a brisk breeze. You can feel that that fall literally is right around the corner.
Yes.
And when I get done here, I'm going to go over to my brother's place and watch a little college football.
Okay.
And then tomorrow it is making breakfast for the family, and then NFL Red Zone from 1 until 7 o'clock tomorrow night.
Amazing.
Very nice.
Amazing.
So what?
Yeah, I guess. or really pathetic.
What constitutes a Clermont family breakfast? Give us a menu.
Oh no, I'll make it's just your meat and potato stuff, bacon, eggs, a little variation on that. Some grits from time to time because we are very southern.
Yes.
But that's all. Just a real basic thing. My daughter loves the bacon, so yeah. So it'll just be that. We'll get the day started off, and then everybody will go to their separate corners, and I'll be left alone to watch football all day.
Very nice.
I love it.
Yes, God bless America.
I was going to say, I also was raised on grits, and I have a friend from Canada one time who had come to visit in Atlanta, and we had gone to breakfast or brunch somewhere, and I was trying to explain grits to him, and I couldn't, like, he did not understand it at all. And I went, it's like a breakfast risotto, and everybody started laughing, but because I didn't know how else to say it.
That's it.
Yeah.
But, now, of course, if you ever went, most restaurants that sell grits, especially in this area, if you ever called grits a breakfast risotto, they probably pick you up like a scruffy
yeah.
toss you out.
Absolutely.
But I get it, and I love that. Yes.
That's funny.
In fact, I'm going to call it from now. I'm saying, Michelle, it's not grits. It's a breakfast risotto.
It's fancy. I like that.
Love it.
I love, that you're on Gaze to the D when our follow-up question to your weekend was what you're cooking for breakfast and not who are you rooting for and the game.
Right.
We're just cheering for laundry. In fact, my buddies, Mark, who's a director at Run Disney, and John Pelkey, who you all know, and I've been friends with John Pelkey since 1992. We just texted and about the Texas-Michigan game. And it wasn't about stats or facts. It was literally about what a great-looking game this is. Because literally the uniforms, the aesthetic matters to us. All the other things matter too, but the aesthetic, how do these two teams look on the field together? It's very important to us.
That's great. So first off, Riley, again, thank you so much for being here with us today. We're so excited about this. Per tradition here on Gaze Do the D with all of our guests, tell us about your Disney background. Did you grow up with Disney? Do you have any Disney core Disney memories, favorite movies? Give us your full Diz-story.
Full history for taking the chance of maybe sharing too much, but this probably sums it up. When I was in second grade, and it was my birthday, did my first play, Bambi, and got home, and nobody was saying anything. I was a narrator in Bambi. When I discovered that, acting is what I wanted to do. But it was my birthday, and nobody was saying anything about my birthday. So, second grade, 6, 7 years old, and we get home, and no one's saying anything about my birthday. So, they were complimentary about the play, but birthday, nothing. And so I'm just like kind of incredulous, and I go to bed, and they wake me up the next morning, and I went to bed kind of pouty and sad. And they wake me up the next morning very early, and they said, get on your clothes. My sister worked for Eastern Airlines. That dates me. But anyway, we flew from Naples, Florida to Orlando, which takes about 45 minutes in the air. It was ridiculous. But the bottom line is my folks we stayed at the Polynesian, and that was my birthday present. It was my first trip to Disney, was staying at the Polynesian, a total surprise. We had the best time. Now, this is something else that will date me. What I wore to Disney, and I have the pictures to prove it, my mom, my late great mother, put me in slacks and a sports coat. I'm not kidding.
No. Wow.
I'm not kidding. And you know what? I wasn't that out of place.
Right.
Because this is mid 70s where you still kind of dressed up to get on a plane. Yeah. And I have mortifying pictures of myself watching the parade go by, and I'm in this god-awful slacks and sports coat. Now, I didn't wear that every day, but there was at least one day on my Disney vacation where that's what my mom had me in. But yeah, so as far as core memories, there you go. Yes. And then many trips afterwards. I remember when I was in high school, the girl that, I was seeing at the time, she and her friends had gone to Disney for the day. Me and a buddy, went down there. We're going to meet them. And we found them. We found them in the Magic Kingdom. So yes, my life is full of all sorts of Disney stories, Disney anecdotes, and yes, core Disney memories.
I also have to say, you had to have had the constitution of steel in order to narrate Bambi in the second grade. I feel like there's certain things that happen in Bambi that, as an adult, I don't know if I would feel comfortable narrating.
It's a lot. It's heavy
without crying.
I don't know. Seriously, I don't even remember how we handled or how that was handled as far as a second grade play, the moment that we're all thinking about. I just watched Bambi recently with my daughter, and and that still got to her, as savvy as these kids are today. But yeah, when Bambi's mom, took a bullet, and for lack of a better way of putting it, people were upset. My daughter was upset. Sure. So
Patrick and I talk on the podcast a lot about that really traumatic scene with Mrs. Quayle. Where, do you know what I mean? Where she's no.
He's
coming. Do you know what I'm talking about?
No. No, all I remember is run, Bambi, run to the thicket. Man is coming. And then I also remember drip, drip, drop little April flowers. Bum, 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 bum.
Little April showers.
Of course. Oh man! Well, other than Bambi's mother getting shot on stage when you were in the second grade, any other favorite Disney memories or movies or genres, or are you more of a Disney World or Disneyland guy? What's your preferences with Disney?
I've never been to Disneyland. I've been to California. I've stayed out there for a while, but never made it to Disneyland. And as far as so I'm definitely much more of a Walt Disney World person. As far as movies. My God, 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea was huge. When I was a kid, I could still see Kirk Douglas singing Whale of a Tale. Of course, the giant squid and all that. But no, it's just, I grew up when there was still the Sunday Disney show. And I have vivid memories of Sunday nights, The Wonderful World of Disney, and just everything that meant. The nature shows and all that. Yeah, loved every minute of it. And that's the thing, guys, is that I was hired at Disney officially as a performer in 1999 to work at the ESPN Club and the ESPN Wide World of Sports. And just like with any job you have, it doesn't matter. People are people, and anytime you engage in a human system, they're going to be faults. There are going to be mistakes made. You're going to run into people that don't have any business in the position they're in. So all that stuff still pertains to Disney. However, I can remember many nights walking out of the ESPN Club, even after something had gone wrong, or we used to walk out of there with a lot of headaches, and that's a story for another day. John Pelkey will confirm that.
Sure.
But driving home from the ESPN Club, we would take a back way, and there were many nights where right behind the Space Mountain on some of the access roads, and those fireworks would start going off, and it didn't matter what kind of day you had, what kind of management that you were engaged in, good or bad. When you saw Space Mountain and those fireworks going off, you're a kid again. And that's something to this day.
Absolutely.
That, despite being a grown ass man and having worked there for many, many, many years and seen the good, the bad, the ugly, and everything in between, that's the one thing I'll say about Disney is that magic is real, and it's made of tungsten. Because that connection that you have with it doesn't matter. There's still moments, there's still iconic settings, things that happen where you go, I'm such a lucky person to be able to work for this company, and I'm such a lucky person just to be here right now, watching this parade, watching these fireworks, taking my daughter to see Beauty and the Beast and meeting the cast. I mean, so many great moments.
Listen to Riley teaching you and I how to host a Disney podcast right now.
I mean, I was
giving us lessons.
I'm writing things down like, I'm going to say it that way from now on. That's perfect. That's amazing. I'm stealing everything you're saying right now, just to be clear. Yeah. Amazing. Okay, so clearly you've been part of the Run Disney team for a while. About 2008 is what we're thinking. Roughly, right?
Yeah, I can't remember. I can't remember the day the race I started. I can't.
Well, we'll get there. We'll jog your memory a little bit. So
we'll figure it out.
We'll get into all of that. But first, we want to know a little bit more about your journey through the world of entertainment that brought you kind of to where you are now. So as you mentioned, you started theater at a very young age. And I guess it ramped up though, right? In more high school age when you got a little bit more serious about it.
On John and Carissa's podcast, they did our origin story. And so when they said origin story, I took it literally. And it wasn't, born in Coral Gables. And then, so when you say, narrated Bambi, I could just hear the two of them going, yes, narrated Bambi at second grade. But that really, that really was the beginning of it, because I think that was the night I realized that I didn't have fear of talking to a crowd of people. My poor daughter, my poor daughter. When we first moved up to North Carolina, a quick side story, I spent 8 summers at Flat Rock Playhouse, which I love, which is still going on, stronger than ever. If you're ever in Western Carolina, please go see a show at Flat Rock Playhouse, the State Theater of North Carolina. They do fantastic work. But I was there for 8 summers, and then when we moved back up here, one of the first things I did was I enrolled her in a class at Flat Rock, and they were doing something from Seussical. And so when it was time to perform their little scene, and I think she was 5 at the time. She was too young for this. When it was time for her to come out and do the scene, there were probably 15 kids, and all of them were singing. And there was one kid that had her costume over her head, and she was crying the whole time. And that was, daughter of former vagabond, Riley Clermont. So anyway, that was that. But yes, so she may not be cut out for performing, but we'll see. She's showing more signs. But yeah, second grade. That's the thing, man. I'm an introverted extrovert. So if I have a purpose for being there, I will, improv, theater, hosting stuff. I have no issues. But if I'm at a party and it's small talk, I have such anxiety about that. So thankfully, very early on, I was able to get over my any fear of public speaking. And then it just led from there. I was very lucky when I went to a very small high school in Florida. Our graduating class was 92 kids. That's how small it was, 92.
Wow.
But yet our theater director, our history teacher, Dave Hartley, I want to give a shout out to David Hartley. He did
Dave.
6 shows, including thespian competitions at this tiny little high school in Central Florida.
Thespian competitions.
Focused on football. What now?
I said, the thespian competitions just took me way back. I haven't thought about that. That was wow.
Did I trigger you with that? Just the invocation of thespian competitions? Yeah. Oh man, that was real.
Mm-hmm.
But he did a bunch of stuff. He was bound and determined to give the kids that wanted to do it, plenty of exposure to theater. And then after that, it was Young Harris, and then a couple years singing in a band out of college, and then New York for a few years, and then Omaha, Nebraska for Love for a couple of years, and then Orlando. And then all through that was just, Flat Rock was every summer doing bus and truck tours, whether it was, children's theater or whatever, all of that. And New York was a blast. But Orlando, when I moved to Orlando, I was very cynical about it because I grew up near Orlando. And I would always tell my sisters, like, I'll never move back home. I'll never move back to Florida. But then when I had friends from Flat Rock who were working in Orlando, and in the early 90s, Orlando was going to be Hollywood East, and there was a tremendous amount of TV production. So suddenly all my friends from Flat Rock are moving to Florida, so I moved back. I got a job at Universal, was hired at Universal in 1992 for the Wild Wild West stunt show and the horror makeup show.
Man. Yes.
And so I started there at 92. And then in 99, John Pelkey got hired as a sports host at ESPN Wide World of Sports. And then I came on pretty much shortly after that, maybe a year later, maybe not even that much. But yeah, October of 1999. And that was just the best job in the world because we got to interview athletes. And we interviewed, Barry Bonds, Roger Clemens, Dan Marino, Joe Montana, Frank O'Hare. All these folks, all these athletes, coming to give their interview on the stage of the ESPN Club just for a free meal or a couple of nights at the hotel. But the fact that we had a gig that paid us to talk to our sports heroes, it was just the best. And that's what led to Run Disney, because Run Disney, I started at Run Disney just out in the crowd, pretty much what I do now. But I wouldn't be in costume, and they would only bring me in for the big race, for like the big marathon or the half.
Sure.
And I would just be out there with the camera crew, just doing a couple of quick hits, and then that would be it. And then I finally got bumped up to the main crew in 2019. And of course, we all know what happened, shortly after that. I think we did Princess, and then the whole thing shut down.
Yeah.
So that's pretty much it in a nutshell. Just, a bunch of different shows, a bunch of different special events. But from 1992 to pretty much 2019, just, doing local theater in Orlando, working at both theme parks. And the last thing I'll say about Orlando, and sorry to monologue, is that Orlando, it's it's the only city I can think of where your pay the rent job, your bread and butter gig is not waiting tables or doing some sort of temp job. Your job every day is getting up and going in and doing an improv show or doing a stunt show or doing, when I went there, I had such a prejudice, and I know I speak for John Pelkey and a whole generation of performers. But when we first got to Orlando, we just thought it was going to be, kids in the kingdom, lip syncing stuff and all that. And that's not at all what it was. It was good work. If you were an actor in your 20s and you had a steady gig and you had insurance, man, that was huge back in the day.
Absolutely.
And one last thing I want to say about this is that when John and I started at Universal, and I speak for that entire Gen X generation of performers, we saw it as a stepping stone. It's like, we'll be here for, a couple months, couple years, and then we'll go to Chicago, New York, LA. And obviously that didn't happen because we were able to raise families right there. And what I see with this new generation of performers is that that's the goal. They don't want to go from Orlando to someplace else. Their goal is, I want to come to Orlando, I want to get a job at one of the theme parks, and I want to have a family. And I think that's beautiful.
I love that. I love that. So, well, we'll get. I want to touch base on, because you have an interesting dichotomy of like love of sports and love of theater, which isn't always the most common thing in the world. But touching back on theater a little bit, what for you? So, Kale and I are both theater kids as well. We grew up in the theater. We still actively participate. For you, what is it that draws you into it? What's the passion behind it? What's the spark that keeps you in it?
When in high school, this was definitely the truth. And certainly when I went to Flat Rock, and then every experience I've had since then. And I'm sure you guys could say the same thing. I found my tribe. I found my people. And it didn't matter what color they were, what their sexual history was. And none of that mattered. It was that we were there together, endeavoring to do this thing.
Yes.
Now, little did I know that there would be a series of directors and producers that would hold that we've got this thing that you love to do, right here. So, if you mess up, there are 18 people waiting to get that thing that you love so much. We've all experienced that. Yeah. But that, above and beyond the business side of it, I found my people. I found my tribe, and there's just, I have no regrets, and I'm so thankful for the life professionally and personally that I've gotten to live because of theater.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I love that.
That makes me very happy.
Yes.
The perfect answer. I would have said the attention, and you said the tribe, and I was same.
Honestly, Kale, that's what it is. It sure isn't about the money, and my wife and I, we've been very lucky, very comfortable, very middle class. It's not about that, but man, I wouldn't trade. And I tell that to my daughter, on the reg. She's probably tired of hearing it, but it's like, it's not about the money. You need money. Money's very important. That education is very important, but find your people, find your tribe, find something that you want to do every day of your life that doesn't feel like work, that doesn't feel like a job. And I said, if you can find that, then, you've won.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So theater clearly played a huge, and still continues to play a huge role in your life. Has sports always played a huge role in your life as well?
Yeah, yes. In the sense that, I love sports, especially football for some reason. My dad was a cop in Coral Gables, Miami. So he didn't really have any, appreciation for theater, and that was rough at times. And I could tell you some stories. But he also, my father passed when I was 19. And, it makes me sad, obviously, for a myriad of reasons. But one of the main ones is that he never saw this, not success, but he never saw me work in theater or work in performing, where it was like, if he'd ever seen me do the Wild Wild West stunt show, he would have gone crazy for that.
Yeah.
But he had a little bit myopic when it came to that kind of stuff.
Sure.
But in the end, he came around and he saw the value in it. And I'm sorry, I've lost the plot.
No.
I think I'm starting to get a little upset about my dad issues.
No, this is fascinating. So keep
you
going.
You have not lost the plot.
Oh no, I remember the sports. No, I remember he wanted me to play football. I'm 6'3". Right now I'm 210 pounds. At my heaviest, I was about 270. He wanted to live vicariously through me because he was a cop. And, he was a Depression era baby. So instead of growing up to go to college and play football and maybe become a lawyer, he went, into the Navy in World War II and, was a cop in Miami for 32 years and had a great life. But we would go to University of Miami football games in the Orange Bowl. And back in the 70s, the University of Miami Hurricanes, they were terrible. Just the laughing stock of the entire college football. So the fact that they now have 6 national titles, that's where the football and the sports threads for me. And the very last game I watched with my dad was when the University of Miami won their very first national title January of 1984. So I've just always been into sports, always been into football mainly or mostly. But here's the thing, guys, sports is politics and sports is theater. And I think that's what I love so much about sports. And when we, getting back to the opening ceremonies, is just the theatricality of almost every single sporting event.
Oh, yeah.
I love it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's fascinating. I wish more people would understand that Venn diagram, but that sports, there's so much drama in sports. There's sometimes more drama in sports than is in theater, and there's a lot of physical activity in theater that, if people could just realize both sides of it, we would all be so much more harmonious, and funding would get, be a lot better dispersed,
Absolutely. Absolutely.
It's incredible.
Yeah. John and myself and Mark Ferreira at the ESPN Club, anytime we would get a new manager, we would always make the point, regardless of what kind of vibe they were giving off, but we would always make the point of like, hey, the three of us, we would much rather be doing musical theater than talking sports. And that was true. I would much rather do Tevye from Fiddler on the Roof every single night of my life. If I could do that, I would never watch another sporting event ever. And it's true for Mark and John. We all have our, theater is the thing that drives us, that moves us the most. We just found a home in sports to kind of act out on those things.
Is Tevye a dream role?
Yeah. I did in 8th grade, and I've never, Tevye's the dream role because I did it in 8th grade, and it was, I want to, hopefully, if you guys have stories about this in your theatrical histories, but Tevye was the first time where I got that sense on stage that I was flying. That I knew the words, I knew the character, and I was in 8th grade, so I don't want to put too much on that. But I mean, that was my first taste of losing, quote unquote, losing myself in the character. There were nights where
it's real,
where that adrenaline rush, that realization that I'm not thinking, I am just in it, and I've been chasing that dragon, every show since then. If I could get back to my eighth grade sense, I think I'd be a much better actor now. Do you guys have that? Do you guys have an example of, a show where, you just flew, man? That was the show. That was the role.
What was your show, Patrick?
Oh, gosh. Honestly, this is going to sound so generic, but I think that's just always it for me. I'm always chasing the next show because of that feeling, because of that. When you step on stage and you're where you're supposed to be, literally nothing else matters. Everything else is perfect in the world, and that's just, that's always the dream. And that's always why I keep going back to it, because the friends and the people and the community, but also just that feeling of, it's almost therapeutic because you get to forget about
absolutely
your worries and your strife. You know what I mean? You get to be on stage and bring magic to other people, and there's nothing like it. Nothing like it.
What about you, Kale? Do you have a role that stands out?
So I believe I was in 9th grade, and Patrick hates when I bring up Into the Woods on the podcast because there was a solid year where every episode. But I played Jack in Into the Woods. in a 9th grade in like a small touring show around Atlanta, and I remember not at the time it felt like it was written for me, right? Like even the music and everything, it sat comfortably in my throat, and it just I remember it just feeling like it flowed out of me. It's interesting though, because in hindsight, I think what made that so impactful for me was that I don't think I understood the exact impact the character was supposed to have. For example, I thought Giants in the Sky was about giants in the sky. I did not know it was sort of a sexual awakening, and I think that sort of naivety played into it perfectly because it was, do you know what I mean? But then I remember like being like 21 and listening to it and being like, I don't think this song is, I actually don't think this song is about giants in the sky. but I think for me that role was sort of, and because even, the thing that you say the most, if whatever role you play in Into the Woods is I wish, and what is theater but constant wishing, right?
Here's the thing.
It's going to continue. It's going to go on.
Theater, sports, Run Disney, and I'm sure we could come up with other examples. But the one thing they all have, the Replacements have a song called Talent Show. And my favorite line is, there's no turning back, so here we go. And it's about, that moment right before they take the stage. And in theater, public speaking, Run Disney, every sporting event, there's that feeling, that sense right before you hit the field, hit the stage, hit the course, whatever. And that's what I love. I love those moments so much where you've worked, you've rehearsed, you're ready, you've practiced.
Oh, yeah.
But then there's that little limbo right before what you've done and what you're about to do. And how is what you've done going to translate into what you do? And of course, you get confident. You feel like, okay, this is all going to work out. But always, every time, there's always still that little just, I don't know how to describe it, a little spark, little charge of, anxiousness, nervousness. I love it. I do. I literally crave it.
Yeah, for sure. I always say if I don't get that feeling that I know something's wrong, something's off, if I don't have that little, it's almost anxiety, but it's like positive anxiety. I don't know how to describe it, but yeah, it's great. It's great. Okay, so I have to talk about this because you sent it to me, and now we got to talk about it. That you were in a band in the 80s. We need to know more about this, please. Anything, everything that we need to know. Spill the beans.
It's not a band that anybody's ever heard of. Clearly, no. We were just when I got out of college, I was in a little bit of a limbo period, and one of my best friends from high school was in Fort Walton Beach, Florida. And Fort Walton Beach, Florida, I don't know if you guys have ever been, but, Destin, Panama City, Pensacola. I mean, it's sugar white sand beaches. It's just gorgeous. But also during spring break, at least, back in the 80s, it was overrun. I mean, thousands and thousands of college kids from, all corners of the country would descend on Panama City Beach, Fort Walton Beach. So, that's where the band started, was playing, a bunch of alternative, REM, Hoodoo Gurus, Guadalcanal Diary, B-52, all that stuff. And then we got to some heavier stuff later on. But for about 2 years, I supported myself solely as, the singer in this alternative band. And it was my high school buddy. And we started, there's a place, it's still there on Fort Walton Beach, called Fud Puckers, not Fuddruckers, not the hamburger place, but this place was called Fud Puckers on the island. And we got our start playing out on the deck, and it just grew and grew. And we kept that place open during the off season because, anybody who was into alternative music, you can imagine in the Florida Panhandle, not a lot of places to go and see that. So we were that band, and we had a really great time for about 2 years. But towards the end of the second year, I had a decision to make whether to commit to this, or I had an opportunity to go back to Flat Rock and live in New York. And so I chose theater over that, even though that was so much fun. And man, the thing that you guys will appreciate about being in a band as opposed to doing theater is you can work up a song that afternoon, and then that night you go play it. And that response is immediate and visceral and all that, as opposed to being in the lab for 6 weeks or a week or however long, depending on what type of theater you're doing, and having to gestate it, and then it goes out. So that's something I missed about being in a band, was just that immediate, here it is, here's your reaction. That was great.
Sure. Yeah. Did you have any favorite songs or playlists that you went through?
Yes. And I got to be careful here because there were, you can imagine playing in a bar band on Fort Walton Beach at a certain age.
I imagine
you rub shoulders with some unsavory folks and all that kind of stuff. But I guess my two favorite songs, we would do Sitting Still by REM, which is just a beautiful song. I love that song.
Yes.
But I don't know if you guys, have you ever heard of a band called the Screaming Blue Messiahs?
I can't say I have.
80s
that
band,
sounds
really,
like a U band.
They were so hard. They're so great. I love them so much. And we did a couple of songs by them just because we knew nobody would recognize them. They would think that we were maybe playing originals.
Amazing.
There was one song by them that we would finish every set. Our last song would be that song. And it was just one of these, it's just so great. So great. And so full of curse words. And I remember the manager of the bar coming to us one night, and he was like, "Look, I'm going to have to fine you because you keep saying these terrible things." and like I said, I can't say what the actual words were, but it was so much fun saying, "No, Chester, we didn't say this. We were saying this." And he bought it. So rock and roll, you can slur the words, and nobody's the wiser for it. But if anybody ever saw the Surrogates back in 1985, 86, 87. At Fudpuckers on the Island, or at Hog's Breath, or Cash's, or Victor's, or anyway, every now and then on Facebook, somebody will come across and go, "Were you in a band?" And
that's amazing.
That's funny. That
was the band days. They were great. I survived. That's the main thing. I survived.
Yeah. You must be so glad this was before the era of cell phones where everything's online now.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No cell phones. By the way, did you guys see that? There was something viral the other night where a father was going to his two teenage sons, and he put down a rotary phone. Kale, do you even remember rotary phones?
I do. I randomly grew up in a house with a rotary phone.
Absolutely.
Well, he set this thing down like it was some, icon from the 1950s. and it was just hilarious because at first I was like, this has got to be a put on. But those two teenage boys, man, I mean, they did not know how to work it. They didn't. It was like, do we pick this up? And then, it's so hilarious. Anyway.
Yeah.
Yes, the 80s. No phones, no social media.
Right.
Nothing
That's
but
so funny.
but sweet, pleasant memories.
Well, so
Absolutely.
speaking of the 80s, you've talked a little bit about your time in New York in the 80s. Tell us about that. Did you have dreams of being on Broadway?
Of course. And I went
Yeah.
I went to New York with every intention to be the dutiful actor.
Of course.
And if I do
The
A, B,
next
C, and
Mandy
D,
Patinkin. Right.
yeah, if I do everything that Michael Shirtliff's Audition, I don't know if you remember that book, that I'm guaranteed success.
Yes.
I was very lucky. I lived in New York for about 2.5 years, 3 years, with two of my best friends from Flat Rock who had moved to New York.
Okay.
So that was the main thing, is I didn't have to go there by myself. I had a couple friends from high school, from college, who moved to New York by themselves, and it ruined them as far as acting goes, because they were so lonely. And just like in any other town, New York has a lot of people who want to offer you a class. And, their credit is they did one State Farm commercial.
Sure.
But now they're going to teach you the craft of acting. And so when I got to New York, there were a couple of classes that had been recommended to me, and I took them. And I quickly, just because of arrogance or hard-headedness or common sense, quickly realized that these people don't know what the hell they're talking about, and they're just out to get money.
Mm-hmm.
And so that kind of soured me on that. I had also was lucky enough to get a gig down in the financial district as my day job. Shareholder Communications, shout out to them if they're still there. And because I had Flat Rock during the summer, I would just pretty much work and live and go see shows, go see concerts when I could afford to. In New York, I would live the life. But as far as doing any theater, didn't have time for that.
Sure.
Because we were just trying to survive and also have a good time at that age.
Right.
One of my roommates came out while my buddy and I were watching a Knicks game. And he said, I feel like I'm living in a theatrical icebox. Because he would be back in the bedroom doing all the postcards and all the follow-up stuff, all the stuff you're supposed to do, to become a successful actor.
Yeah,
of course.
Didn't realize till many, many years later that, it has so much to do with who you know, all that stuff.
Oh, for sure.
I also didn't realize that when I lived in New York, it was probably also one of the most dangerous times to live in New York. The late 80s. I didn't know.
Right. What part of New York did you live in?
West 57th, between 9th and 10th. Our little brownstone is right across the street from Roosevelt Hospital.
Okay.
And about maybe 3 blocks away from the Columbus Circle entrance to Central Park. So Hell's Kitchen, basically. Which apparently is very nice now. And I wasn't aware of any bad stuff. But apparently back then it was very rough.
Oh, man.
Yeah, live in New York and then go to Flat Rock in the summers.
I want to get a drink with you sometime and talk about your dad being a cop in Miami in the 70s and you living in New York in the 80s. I'm sure you have stories that are not appropriate for this podcast, but we will talk about it later.
Absolutely. We need to talk about Thanksgiving.
I really would love that.
That would be great. That'd be great. I'm going to take you up on that. Oh, amazing.
Please.
Amazing. Okay, so we're getting into the 90s now. So you're back in Orlando. You've been hired by Universal. You start doing some Disney gigs. What's that like for you? What was the experience breaking in to that? Because I know now it's quite hard to get a role now at Universal or Disney because they're very coveted. People keep them for a long time. What was your experience getting in there?
Again, so lucky to be at the right place at the right time. Went to an open call at Universal and wound up being cast. And I'd never done stunts before, but just because of my look and my size. And I guess, a little bit of warm body syndrome, if we're being honest, much different than it is today. They auditioned me for Wild West Stunt Show and I got accepted, trained. And then shortly after that, cross-trained over at Horror Makeup. It was the best because, again, and it's definitely one of those situations where at the time I knew that myself and my peers had it really good. But you really don't realize that till years later and you look back on it. But we had it made. My first days at Universal, I got paid good money per hour and insurance to jump on a trampoline because they were training me at Wild West Stunt Show. And they said, you need 2 weeks to get your air sense. And I'm like, I have one back fall into a well. I'm not doing a high fall. I'm not doing any of that stuff. But if you guys want to, pay me to jump on a trampoline for 2 weeks, I was in heaven. So, honestly, Universal changed my life. Disney changed my life, all for the better because it provided me with a means to survive, live, get married, have a family much later, but just all those things. And every day that I got up, I looked forward to going to work. It was just a joy, and all the different special events and all the theater that was in Orlando, in those days. And I mean, that continues too. But to be able to work at the theme parks, audition for theater, audition for, maybe a TV series here or there, stuff that was shooting in Miami, many, many commercials out of Orlando. And again, working at Orlando Shakespeare, working Orlando Fringe, and there's all the other theaters that exist in that area. It literally, I mean, I'm so lucky. I have nothing but gratitude and nothing but warm thoughts anytime I look back on those days. And thankfully, I still have one foot in it with Run Disney.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So speaking of Run Disney, let's jump to 2008 when you are offered the role as the host for Run Disney. What is it like in those early days for you?
Early days, because the only reason I was brought into Run Disney was because we were working at ESPN Club and the ESPN Wide World of Sports, and we had on-camera experience. So they would bring us and a crew over, and we would just do interviews. They would send me down to Corral E or F. So pictured on those mornings for the big race, for the marathon, and just having to walk and walk and walk, and then hopefully the signal, hopefully they can hear you, they can see you.
Sure.
Hopefully technically it all works out. But that's all it was maybe one or two quick hits, back to Chris and John on the stage. And then, I'd have to make my way back to my car and then and there are people doing this these days, not back to the hotel, but back to my own car and then trying to circumnavigate off of Disney property with all the police, with all the state troopers while there's a race going on. So it was a tremendous pain in the butt. And I did not enjoy it that much at all. However, like I said, that role grew and grew and grew, and then eventually, they put me in the hotel along with John and Chris and the rest of the crew. So when I was invited to be part of that, main Run Disney family, that's really when the worm turned, and it became so much fun. And if I could say this about the Run Disney family, one of the main things that made a difference, that turned a corner with how we presented things, and I think the thing that we're most proud of is when we pivoted from when we would talk to the athletes of going, well, what's your goal this morning? What have you been training and all this kind of stuff? When we started asking them, why are you here? What brings you here? Are you running for someone? Are you running? And then people just started organically sharing their experiences, why they were running, all these great Run Disney stories. That's really, I think, where our hosting thing kind of took off a little bit more, because we were just able to share these hilarious, sometimes obviously heart-wrenching stories. It gave the entire event a different context. There was a depth to it now. And especially once we were able to really start talking about the fact that Run Disney family is a safe space. It's inclusive. There's no judgment here. We are one super organism of love for each other and support for each other. And hopefully, that lasts outside of Run Disney. But at least we know that on these 5 weekends, 6 weekends with the Disneyland stuff, that this group of people can come together and feel safe and just be themselves and have a blast.
Exactly. Like everything you just said, exactly.
Yeah.
I've done many Run Disney events, and you described it so perfectly there. And I have to believe, and so I'm going to toot your own horn for you for a little bit, because the entire Run Disney hosting family is amazing, but you are so uniquely good at people just naturally want to tell you their stories. And I have to believe the alchemy there is A, your background in theater, but B, you're just such a good, joyful person that people
you really are
immediately
so warm.
People immediately feel so comfortable around you, and it's I can't applaud you enough for that. You make people's Run Disney experience so much better because you're there, and so thank you for that.
Well, that's very moving, and I really you have no idea how much it means to me to hear that. We didn't have to fight for that. We just started doing it, as far as just getting more personal. And I remember, a couple of the first races, there was a woman who collapsed in my chest because her partner had just passed, and that's why she was there, was to run in her memory and run for her. And as she's telling the story, she just, got very upset. And before I know it, her head lands right on my chest, and I just embraced her. And I'm thinking, there was still a part of me going, does Run Disney want this?
Sure.
Does Run Disney want to keep it all, hey, and how you doing, and what's your goal, and blah, 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 and keep it all very light, very, very shallow? Or are they willing to embrace that there are people out here, many, many, many people who, yes, they want to have fun. And yes, they're here for the fun and the costumes and all that. But they are carrying a burden. They're carrying something with them that, quite frankly, should be shared with everybody, you know? Mm-hmm. And when early on, when there would be maybe one or two stories like that in a row, I would start to get real self-conscious. But there were a series of Run Disney directors, Matthew, and now, of course, with Mark. Let me say this about Matthew. When we came back from COVID, one of the reasons why we were able to pivot with all these stories and getting kind of, a much, much deeper with our Run Disney guests was because we asked him, COVID, we've all just been through it. Are we supposed to ignore this thing or can we talk about it? And he was like, talk about it, talk and talk and talk about it. And it was a catharsis. It was a catharsis for us. It was a catharsis for the Run Disney family. And that's what, gave us that little tap on the shoulder saying, no, Run Disney's behind us. Maybe they'll get uncomfortable with certain things, but they want this message. They want this to be, how we, like I said, it contextualizes everything. They want to hear hilarious stories. They want to hear the heartbreaking stories and everything in between. And so credit to them for allowing us, to tell these stories in the manner that we do. And thanks again so much for saying what you said. I really appreciate it.
Well, of course, it must be so unique, I have to imagine, that in your position and all of you as host position, that all of these stories that you get to hear and get to be a part of, you are now a part of it, right? Like for me, for instance, I don't have, thank goodness, knock on wood, like any tragic stories behind me that keep me going to Run Disney, only joyful ones. But like my first marathon, you were there for my first marathon. You're part of my history now. You know what I mean? You were there for my first half marathon. It must be so cool to be part of these big milestone moments of everybody's life, whether you know it or not. You're part of hundreds of thousands of people's lives. And it's so unique and awe and inspiring. And I don't know. My words are escaping me of how cool that is.
No, it blows my mind. And my favorite thing all Disney weekend is standing at the finish line, or in the corrals at the finish line, the chute at the finish line, for lack of a better way of putting it, and seeing people that you interviewed, at the top of the race, seeing people that you've interviewed in the past, and just getting those hugs, man. When folks come up, and I don't care how sweaty they are. It is, I'll use the word again, it's that catharsis of, you just talked to me, a couple hours ago about how petrified you were, why you're running it, all these different things. And now here you are, you did it. Mm-hmm. And the thing that I'm so impressed with, guys, about our Run Disney family is the fact that, the race is just a very small part of all the things that you guys have to do to get there. Registration. Hello.
Sure. Registration is the real race. That's the
registration, the travel, the circumnavigating the property if you've never been there before, just getting to the race, walking up to the corrals, all that stuff, all that, the hours that you guys spend before that first step across that starting line. I'm just in awe of you guys. I really, truly am.
Oh, well, that's nice to hear. Thank you. And we do it because of everything you've described. Like, it really is a family and a community, and we all feel that coming from you as hosts, and hopefully you feel it coming back from us as runners.
Oh, definitely. No, and I'm so glad to hear you guys say that, And here's the other thing, too. We have no misgivings about the fact that out of, 18, 20,000 people, we understand that maybe, somewhere between 2 and 5, if that, are engaged in what we're doing. You know what I mean? We're completely cool with that. For the Run Disney folks, it's like, oh my God, I can't listen to this stuff. I just want to focus. I want to put on my blinders and focus on what I need to focus on. And all this other stuff is just distracting me and it's obnoxious. We get it. We get it. And there's not one part of us, we want to get out of those folks' way as much as possible. But we do understand, we got a job to do. And there are some folks that want to be, kept up with the entertainment and all that kind of stuff. So, again, it's just, it's mind blowing to hear you guys talk about, the impact that's made. And I really hope that's true and continues for a while.
Yeah.
Selfishly.
We've kind of already touched on this, but so tell us a little bit more. And I've described it a little bit, like you guys as a Run Disney hosting group are a family. Was it like that from the beginning? Was there some give and take of who jockeying for positions or anything like that? Like, what was that whole experience like?
Nothing like that, especially with the current crew. Carissa, look, we all just stand back and are in awe of Carissa, because Carissa is as genuine and authentic off stage as she is on stage, even though that on stage, she definitely has that polish and that extra little thing, that she's a performer. So when she hits that gear, I love it. I love to set her up with a question where she can just go off with her legitimate knowledge of running, of nutrition and diets and all that stuff. She is our rock. She is our anchor. We all just orbit around her. And we defend her. If anybody has anything bad to say about Carissa, I get my hackles up, because I just wish these folks could see. I do, because I think there are people that judge her because, she's beautiful. She has all these different gigs going on. And I think there is, some petty jealousy out there. And I just, I would like to take all those folks aside and go, she's the real deal. Okay. Who you see on stage, that's who she is in the trailer. That's who she is with all of us socially. And I've known Carissa. John's known Carissa, from back in the days when she used to be during Brave Spring Training, when she used to be the girl in the stands giving away prizes and all that stuff. We've all done multiple, so many opening and closing ceremonies at ESPN Wide World of Sports in 120-degree heat together. So we've all worked together for years, inside and outside of Run Disney. The chemistry that John and Carissa have is so beautiful. I love their older brother, younger sister vibe, and that's real off stage as well. So we all get that it's about Carissa, it's about John and Carissa on stage, and then Tracy and I, we're just happy as clams, to be included in that, to be a part of that. And then also to get to do what we do, which is, what we're good at, which is just talking to the crowd. Now, Tracy, Tracy's crazy. I love
her so much. Yes, I love her.
And at the hotel, in the van, to our trailers, we're just laughing, having a great time. If somebody's in a bad mood, we're lifting them up. It's just, it is a family. I wish I could give you some dirt. Wasn't always that way, but
fair.
Right. Yeah, there were certain personalities. There were certain personalities back in the day that, man, they thought they were all that in a bag of chips.
Fair.
Yeah, without naming names. No, but it's amazing to see how the Run Disney hosts have gone from, what kind of hotel am I staying at? To, no, we know what we're there for. We're there to serve a purpose. Yeah. We're there to keep you guys awake, to hopefully entertain you in some way, to maybe inspire you just a little bit, but mainly just to keep things going and just celebrate the athletes. It's not about us. It's all about you guys.
It's been really fun over the years, as someone who's been doing Run Disney for a while, to have seen all of you sort of really ease into your roles of being really authentic hosts, and that rings true loud and clear. And Tracy is a great example of that. Like, over the years, like, just to see her comedy come out and like flourish, she's one of my favorite parts of the whole event now. It's just like, figuring out what she's going to say to people is so funny. She is so quick and so funny and so uniquely gifted at what she does. It's so cool to watch all of you though play your parts. And I shouldn't say play your parts, because you're not playing parts. You're just being yourselves. And that's what really people respond well to.
You guys understand it's a heightened version, of ourselves. It has to be for performing, purposes. And that's the thing about, Tracy and hopefully all of us is that, none of that humor works. You can imagine that in the hands of somebody else, and it's all chemical. You can't explain it. Yeah. John can say things and have an attitude that I could never, ever get away with, because I've heard him say things to people and they just laugh and laugh and laugh. And if I said the very same thing in the same tone, they would be like, Riley's bullying me. So we each have our own thing that reads real, it reads authentic. And I hope that Run Disney understands what they have with Tracy, because not everybody can pull that off where you can say things that are right up. At ESPN Club, we used to pride ourselves in the fact that we used to say the pixie dust stops at the door. You're coming into a sports bar. We're going to talk sports here. This is not going to be, hey, everybody, but we prided ourselves on implementing the Disney brand, but we would never cross that line. And I think that's what we're good at as hosts. And I think that's what Tracy is particularly good at, is getting that laugh that's unexpected within the confines of a Disney event. But she pulls it off because she's Tracy, and it just works for Tracy. If that makes any sense.
100%.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yes. So, do you have any favorite Run Disney weekend themes or anything that you wish that they would explore?
Well, I mean, everybody wants Star Wars to come back in some way, shape, or form. And I just don't know if the company's ever going to do that, because there's kind of this edict, which I think is known, which is, we're not going to see Darth Vader dancing. We need to take these iconic characters and put them back where they belong, in some people's opinions, which is in a place that is there's respect. And we let's make Darth Vader scary again, I guess would be the slug line for that.
Sure.
So I think because of that, and because there's so many issues with licensing characters, that I think that's one of the main reasons why Run Disney, won't. Who knows? Hopefully they will. But I just know, to get those characters in this current climate, it's really, really tough, because they're being so careful with how they display those characters, what kind of stage the characters are on, all that kind of stuff. But Star Wars is always the first one that comes to mind. They all just run together, and I just have such a great time. And I'm always just so pleasantly surprised by what our wardrobe team comes up with. The people who put us in our costumes and stuff, they're just the best. And these handmade hats, these hand-painted hats that they come up for me and for John, they're just incredible.
Yeah.
But I would just say overall, we're just so pleased and proud and amazed at just what our wardrobe team, how they dress us up. And then, of course, what you guys come up with, the folks that dress up as the, I can't think of as the monorail, the different cars of the monorail, just all of that stuff. The folks that come dressed as the old school VHS Disney boxes, just love all that stuff. Great. Yes, and just the amount of detail and work that these folks put into their costumes, into their wardrobe, it's just stunning. So,
yeah, the production value that you all are putting on at Run Disney now is it's. I mean, like, I could see the addiction behind it. Of like, this is why I come back, because you're putting on a show, man, with the costumes and lighting and video equipment and special effects. It's a production. It's really great. It's so cool.
And I know
no one else is doing it.
Right, and I know there's still places on the course where there may not be entertainment for a while or whatever. There's always reasons for that. There's always logistical reasons. Believe me, if Run Disney could have characters every single step of the way, they would do that. So if ever you're running, I just the backing out of ESPN Wide World of Sports, there's another one that's just notorious, where people are like, oh, please, God, don't make us do that. There's no entertainment. There's nothing going on. So we feel that. So they work so hard behind the scenes.
Oh, I can't even imagine how much effort goes into that. Yeah, there is a long Walking Dead stretch during the marathon weekend that's like running towards Typhoon Lagoon, I think, and it's just everyone is like, well, we're in it together. Here we go.
Yeah, and then what was it, the big marathon last year where some people were getting hassled by Florida Highway Patrol? Our good friend
really?
Brandon wanted to step out and go get a hot cake or something at McDonald's. And the cops were like, no, you can't leave the course. And it was like, yeah, I can. Why can't I? Anyway, I remember that controversy.
Ridiculous. Well, okay, so speaking of that, so you've been doing this for a while. I mean, whether or not you know it, you are known in the Run Disney community of runners as like the man among the people, because you're there on the street, frog on the street with us. Any stories that really that you've latched onto over the years that just stand out for you as something that this is why I do it, this is why I'm here, kind of a memory for you?
So many. The first one that pops to mind, the one that I'll use to illustrate this was, and I forget the gentleman's name. I have it in my notes because I take notes on all this stuff. I'm so bad with remembering people's names. I literally have it in my phone. But a gentleman, and I love celebrating this particular type of Run Disney runner. Gentleman, with weight issues, trying to get healthier, comes down. He's going to do the half. I think it was Wine and Dine. His first time attempting it, he trained. He thought he was ready, but his first time doing it, he got swept. And he's on the bus, and he's just feeling like a complete and abject failure. And all the things that would come with a moment like that, where you've worked and you've dreamed and you've planned and you've plotted, and that's the goal I have for myself. And by God, I failed. I didn't achieve it. Here I am on the bus. He came back and did it again and told that story. And when I saw him, again, one of the biggest joys of the job is seeing folks like that coming your way, making contact with them, giving them a hug and saying, you did it. You accomplished it. You just went 13.1 miles. Did you ever think you were going to be able to do that? And then talking them across the finish line. Everybody, that is Ray. Ray tried to do this last year. He couldn't do it. He was on a bus. This year he came back, and that is him. That's Ray right there, crossing the finish line. I mean, you can imagine. So
Right.
in
Yeah.
any small way that we play a part in those moments where somebody like that is, and those folks are legion. We talk to them every single race. And some of them have trained a lot. Some of them haven't trained at all, and they get a rude awakening. But when they come back and accomplish that goal, that's really what lights me up. That's what lights my brain up, is the second timers, the third timers.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Ooh, you got me on that one.
Yeah. Same.
It got me.
I
It
know.
got me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or the folks that are, Lindsay, who's just one of the best people with Ox and Spoon. She lost her mom. And I was able to talk her across the finish line when she was running with a picture of her mom. So, and that's the point, guys. And you all know this. I don't need to say it, but I'm going to say it anyway because I'm highly talkative, obviously. The race is the metaphor for so many things. And it's the background and the stage for so many of these folks to work out whatever they're working out. Mm-hmm. I hope and I trust that there are thousands of people who are just there having a great time, having a blast. They're just doing it for the fun of it. They're introducing their kids to it. That is all right there for the taking. But the percentage of people, the amount of our Run Disney family that are running to get healthier because they had a health scare and they want to, and this is how they're being proactive. They're not going to lay down and take it. By God, they're going to beat it. And running has become part of their life. And those stories of people who, I need to lose weight. I'm running in memory of somebody. I lost this person. And the last thing they said was they wanted me to finish this race. It's all part of, like I said, I call it a super organism of love.
Absolutely.
Yes.
I believe it.
So over the past 15 years, you've talked to hundreds of people with hundreds of stories. Do you have any advice, any inspiration for first-time runners coming out or anyone interested in getting involved with Run Disney?
Look, I'm that person. I've been training because I want to do a 5K. I walked a little 5K up here, but I've never done the Run Disney 5K. That's the main thing I would say is train, take your training seriously. And honestly, ask yourself the question, though, is this for you? There's so many other things you can do. Stationary bike. There's so many, weightlifting. Sure. There's so many other forms of getting into shape. So the first thing to ask yourself is, am I really enjoying this? Am I really getting something out of this? Or am I just torturing myself because I set this goal and by God, I got to follow through with it? So make sure that your aim is true. Make sure it's something foundationally that you're really ready for. Because yes, the and doing the 5K, to start with that, what an amazing sense of accomplishment. But once you get into that 10K, and especially once you get to 13.1 or 26, that's the real deal. And you've got to be ready and prepared for that. And yes, you've got to train for that, or you're going to pay the price. So train. Take your training seriously. And listen to Jeff Galloway.
That is very good advice.
Yes.
Seriously.
That's great advice. Yeah, no, you're totally right. That man knows what he's talking about.
When you just have his voice in your ear going, all right, time to walk. It's just such a joy. Yeah. That man just personifies everything that Run Disney's about, from acceptance, inclusion, and just being a absolute, evangelical about the benefits of running. I love that man.
I had the pleasure of meeting him toward the end of one of the races in Florida, and got a picture with him. And it was, I will always remember that day because he has been such an instrumental tool in getting me across every single finish line. So yeah. Oof,
so you yourself employ the Jeff Galloway run walk method?
100%.
That's 100%. Awesome. That's great. That's
yes.
Great.
I swear by it. Absolutely.
No, I found out my brother who used to take part in marathons back in the day, I never ever talked with him about this, but I just recently discovered that when he was doing that, was using the Jeff Galloway method, and it worked for him. He was like, it absolutely improved my time and improved where I finished in the race and all that. So.
Yeah, anybody who tells you that if you're not running the whole time, you're not doing it right is wrong, and we're done with the conversation. You know what I mean? It's like, get out of town.
This is not me playing devil's advocate, but this is, I know that if I stop running to walk, I'm not going to start running again. Fair. Seriously, it's the only reason why I don't do it. But and for everybody out there, whatever it takes, whatever works for you.
Exactly.
Sure.
Don't succumb to the peer pressure of it's got to be this shoe, it's got to be this training method, it's got to be this. If you walk the whole thing, you're not really a marathoner. Oh man, I could use some expletives about those folks because whenever I read those post-race stories about I got back to my office and I was wearing my medal and Joe from accounting said, well, 13.1 miles, that's not. it's like I just want to throw hands.
Throw hands.
When you see those folks, whether they've walked, whether they've run, whether they've done both, whatever it took to get them across that finish line, when you see the physical and emotional and mental effort and toll that takes, I just want all those doubters to be there at the finish line and go, so that person's not an athlete? That person right there is not an athlete? Because they are, and they're amazing.
100%. Well, this has been an incredible treat for us.
Really
We've taken up way too much of your time, but
no. See,
I just have to say,
as soon as I stop this, I'm going to go. God, you talked incessantly.
No,
you just monologue the whole time.
No, this was perfect.
This has been amazing, and I just have to say on a personal note, and I imagine Kale will back me up on this. I don't mean, and this is going to embarrass you, maybe. I don't mean to label you. So hear this with how I intend to say it. Is that it is such a treat and a pleasure for people in the gay, the queer community to see a masculine, heterosexual, cisgender man be so vulnerable, be so open with emotions and feelings. Please continue being the person that you're being. We need more of you. It's such a rare treat to see someone like you living your truth for all of us as well. Thank you for that. Really and truly.
Well, you're gonna make me cry, but it's how I was raised. Even with a father who was a policeman, there was no hate in our house. My mom raised me right. And again, I found my tribe at a very, very early age, and that tribe included everybody. And I loved them, and they loved me. I accepted them, and they accepted me, and that continues on, hopefully, for the rest of my life. One of the biggest pleasures that I've experienced recently is moving back. I spent 8 summers here in North Carolina at Flat Rock. And when we moved here, getting back in touch with a lot of the folks that still are here from those days, and they're all still the same. Like I said, there are other folks I went to college with that have changed inexplicably. And these folks have just remained so loving and accepting and open to, just how we should all be as humans, how we should all be as Americans. And hopefully we're, I said this on social media. There was a moment this summer. It was an inflection point. And it was right after President Biden dropped out and Kamala started getting millions and millions and millions of dollars in small donor, contributions. The Olympics were just starting, and Chapel Roan played to 110,000 people at Lollapalooza. And just the shots of 110,000 people going HTOTO, and just, and I anybody who was around me, I was like, this is a pivot point. This is all these things are related. And hopefully this is going to pivot us into an election that turns out the way that I want it to, that I think we all want to.
Absolutely.
And then better days ahead, man. Fearless days ahead. Joyful days ahead.
For sure.
I feel
Listen, it probably close to a year ago now, because Patrick and I are procrastinators, but we previously made plans to meet up with John Pelkey for a karaoke session, and now I believe our group is a foursome. So expect an invitation soon.
I would love that. Fellas. Yes. And please, at the race, I need to hug both of you. So let's make that happen.
Absolutely.
Yeah. All right.
Yes.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, it's just a few weeks away, brothers. Are you guys doing our wine and dine?
I won't be there. I'll be there for the marathon weekend, though.
Okay. All right. Well, that's just a few months away. So, we're in it.
Yeah.
Right.
We'll figure it out. Yeah, you're part of our tribe now, too. So welcome to the family, my friends.
I appreciate it.
And you can't escape it. You can't escape it.
Yeah.
I appreciate it.
Thank you again.
Hey, Patrick.
You know you want to do Quick D.
Perfect. That's the first time we've ever aligned with it.
We did.
And in the same key, I think.
I did pause for a second, too, because I was like, okay, I guess I'll do it. Fine.
Oh, you started this.
I know.
Whatever.
And I'll end it as well.
Okay, well, are you ready for some Quick D?
I'm super ready, and here's why I'm ready, because we don't have questions. And we're literally
None
winging
of you
it.
submitted a question. None of our 2 listeners.
It's true. We gave you 43 minutes to respond, and none of you did.
And it is true. We did not.
Yeah.
We did. Guys, it's Thursday. It's almost the end of the week. Give us a break.
We're recording on a Thursday.
Give us a break.
It's rough. You're lucky we even got an episode out to you.
You're lucky.
You're welcome, everybody. But you know what? This is classic Quick D, where we ask each other a question that we've not been privy to prior to recording and answer it off the cuff. Wow, that came out of nowhere. I remembered that script from long ago.
It was perfect. Yeah, you made me memorize it at one point, and then we immediately changed the rules of Quick D.
Let's be clear. You never actually
memorized
it.
Thank you so much. No, yeah, I did.
I wrote it down. It was written on the page.
Oh, you know what? You're absolutely...
I am.
You're right. It was never memorized. You always kept it on the spreadsheet for me.
Very clear.
No, you're absolutely right.
You know what? You have many other things.
I was ready to fight you on it too, and then you're absolutely
incredible.
Okay, I'm ready for my question.
Oh, ready? Okay, so I'm asking you first. All right, Kale. In the spirit of Halloween Town, if you and I had our own Disney Channel Halloween themed movie, what would it be called? And just give me a little premiere of what it's about.
Okay, it's called Revenge of the Lollipop Guild. And
Rude.
I'm kidding. Okay, you and I feel like it would have to be a dark comedy, because I feel like even if you and I are being chased by a murderer, there's laughter. Somewhere in there.
Yeah, it's like a Romeo and Michelle go to hell kind of a thing.
Romeo and Michelle go to hell. That is literally our movie. Romeo and Michelle go to hell.
Dumb.
Yes.
It's so stupid.
Romeo and Michelle 2, Revenge of Michael Myers. Yes. Romeo and Michelle 2, Curse of the Witch. Yeah.
I invented Halloween candy. You know, it's like a...
Yes.
Dumb. Okay.
Michelle, it's so hot in here.
Which one of us is which one of us? I clearly wore the back brace. Yeah, is that? And magnets suck on it.
Yes, and I clearly was in love with the popular boy who somebody and then his girlfriend took my burger. Yeah, that's yes.
That we should watch party that movie. Romeo and Michelle. Okay, we're off track.
Absolutely. We can link it back to Disney somehow, I'm sure.
Romeo and Michelle go to hell. Great.
Yeah.
I answered your question for you.
That was perfect. That was absolutely perfect. Romeo and Michelle go to hell. Yeah.
Amazing.
Muriel's Red Wedding.
Ooh.
That was good. Was good. Mic drop. Muriel's Red Wedding. That's amazing. I do too.
I don't have an Australian accent in me, so I don't know if I could do it, but we'll try.
That could be the scary part.
This is scary.
That could be, yeah.
Muriel, you're bad.
You're right. You really don't have one.
I don't have one. It's not
You're
there.
absolutely correct. You do not.
It's not there.
Okay, so mine to you. You ready?
Yes, please.
If you had to hook up any two Disney characters on a blind date, who are they? Mm-hmm. Where are they going?
Oh, interesting. Any two Disney characters on a blind date. Immediately my brain goes to Kronk.
Okay, good.
And then I think I'm pairing Kronk up with like one of the ruffians from
Live.
Do you know what I mean?
Yes. Vladimir. Ceramic Unicorns. They would, yes.
Yeah. And they're taking a cooking class together. You know, I think that'll be fun.
Yes. That was very good, PK.
Thank you so much. It wasn't funny. It was just romantic. It was just a really lovely pairing.
It was, I really like sort of fed that to you, I think. And then,
I told you it's autumn. My powers are at full strength.
They are. This is the new Supreme has emerged. I'm growing weaker.
Vladikronk is there?
Vladikronk. I like it. I do too.
Muriel, you're bad. I can't not say it anymore. I sound like a wounded sheep or something when I say it. I don't know what it is.
No, it's gosh. You're terrible, Patrick.
There.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we know who's not casting the show. We know who he is. Kale, you're out. Sorry.
Okay.
That will do it for this episode of Gays Do the D. Thanks for listening. To become a patron of the podcast, visit our website at gaysdothed.com/donate. For a donation of any amount, you can receive exclusive Gays Do the D content and help us continue to bring you the very best Disney news and discussions. Continue the conversation after this episode on Instagram and Twitter at GDTD Podcast. Submit your questions or show ideas to info@gaysdothed.com. Have a great week, everybody. See you real soon.
But I always try and drag you down with me.